this is going to be. Pardon me just a moment. I'm going to move this slightly. So this is going to be the earth signs reading for this week. And whenever you find this reading, trust that the time is right for you. So these are timeless readings, but I am doing this reading on January 27th, 2022 for the earth signs. That's going to be Taurus, Virgo, and of course, Capricorn. We have a few things going on in Capricorn right now, such as the Venus retrograde. So, to get started, I'm going to take this selenite wand and just kind of run it through your auric energy field. And we're just going to brush away any of the things that might be encumbering you, any negative vibes, negative energies that you'd like to get rid of. And this selenite wand is wrapped in a little bit of copper wire. Excuse me. So here we go. And just kind of and I can use it like this and just pop any of those little bubbles of negativity that are hanging around. Lovely. Sorry about that. I don't know those people. I don't know why they keep calling me. So for the reading this week, I will be using the very beautiful Somnia Tarot. It's a little difficult for me to shuffle, so I shuffled it quite a bit ahead of time. I'm also going to be pulling a card for each sign from the Flower Magic Oracle deck. I really love these cards. They're beautifully designed. And then on top of that, each flower has included in the booklet ways that you can use it for your magical working. So that's always nice to have on hand. And then if you want to join us for the extended, it's absolutely not necessary. Your support is appreciated in whatever level you are able to support, even if that just means watching the video. But over in the extended, will be doing some crystal scrying about the messages we receive in the general reading. And this is the quartz crystal I will be using for that. So we're going to start with the sign of Taurus. Sorry, that was a little bit loud. And Taurus, if you would just relax, kind of set your intention. Allow any issues you've been having to bubble up into the front of your mind. And just allow them to wait there patiently so that we can address them in the reading. And you can take some deep breaths also if you like. Breathe in deeply, the divine white light of Source. And then when you exhale, just sigh out and release any energies you've been holding on to that aren't serving you anymore. Okay. Interesting. So we do have a jumper. And after your reading has concluded, I will, of course, be putting the timestamps down in the description box. All right. And then I'm going to pull one of these flower magic cards for you as well. I think this is the card. Okay. So, Taurus. This has been a popular card over the past month. It's grass. So, grass has to do with complications, but you can also think of grass as something that is often used for binding. So, when you're doing binding spell work, binding rituals, and I'm hearing the leaf blower guy outside, so we'll see how much I get done if I have to stop at any point. He's running late today. Grass can be used to bind other people. It can also be used to bind things to you, like wealth, prosperity. But you have to be really careful with binding, because when you bind yourself to something, you're creating an etheric link, an etheric cord, right? And it's good if you want to play puppet master, but actually, that when you do bind yourself to other things, it does create a lot of complications, right? Complications. So, where we have the grass card here, you can keep in mind that grass is good for binding spells. I'm not really going to reference the book right now on this card because I've already read it like a few times. That's kind of the gist of what it says. Let's look at the past for you, Taurus. We have the Eight of Swords reversed. So there could have been a time where you felt like you were trapped, but because this card is reversed, it's in the past, it looks like you also were able to free yourself from whatever this represents. Here in the current situation, this Queen of Wands was our jumper. We have the Queen of Wands. This is a very charismatic, beautiful person, very wonderful, sparkling personality, able to convince people of their way of being, persuasive life of the party. This is crossed by the Magician. So the Magician is all about your powers of manifestation. So it looks like at this time, a lot of your powers of manifestation could be linked to your ability to persuade other people. So we don't have the strength card here per se, but this would be very strength card energy because the Queen of Wands is also fire sign energy. So here in the MMC, this is going to be all of the situations that are occurring in the current state of affairs, the current time period, that are going to be leading up to what we end up looking at in the midheaven, where we're talking about goal and destiny. So here we have the Ten of Coins. There is potential here for you for generational wealth. Generational wealth. And it looks as though it's still slightly outside of your grasp at this particular juncture, but it's something that you are working actively towards. Here in your situation, from your perspective, we have the Hierophant. This is your card in the Major Arcana. It's about the status quo. It can be about marriage. It can be about spiritual leadership also. So where we have the Hierophant coming out and we're looking at your perspective on a situation, this is you coming out in your power. You want security, you want stability, and that is what you are working towards. You could even, with the Hierophant card here, be working with your higher power. You could look at the priesthood as the employees of God, right? So in that particular situation, you are waiting for God to provide for you. because of hard work that you've put in, of course. From an outsider's perspective, and I do just want to mention that there's a lot of second house energy in this particular reading for you. So that would be your native house. We have the Ten of Wands. So other people looking in on your situation see some oppression. If this person moves, they are in danger of bumping into this candelabra, possibly being set on fire, definitely having it fall down upon them. So others might see that as an obstacle for you. Now, it looks like, sometimes it takes word a while to travel. So if you had recently come out of this situation in which you were trapped, it's going to take everyone else just a little bit of time to catch up with that. So others might perceive you as being more burdened or more trapped at this time than you actually are, Taurus. Here in the future position, we do have the Queen of Pentacles reversed. So cards can come out reversed in the future if the potential is there, but it's going to be dependent on how current events play out, your part in them, sometimes luck, but the potential is there. Queen of Coins is this wonderful fertile energy where we have the combined elements of water and earth. Sometimes we see little bunnies on the card because bunnies are such prolific reproducers. So we're getting closer. We're getting closer and closer, Taurus, to what it is that you really seem to be seeking out, which is this financial stability and proliferation, real generational wealth. The Ten of Coins here, this could also represent the ending of a financial cycle of some kind. So these are just possibilities and don't necessarily reflect anything beyond that. It could be getting laid off from a job. It could be having a contract end and not renewed. It could also be cashing out an account. So if you're invested in something, you could be cashing out that account. Here in your hopes and fears, we have the Two of Coins, and it's showing up in the reverse. So one thing about the Two of Coins that it's important to remember is that it is not a very sustainable situation for you, right? Balance must be continually struck to be maintained. So you can balance everything, and then you're going to need to keep it in balance. So you're going to have to keep repeating that process. It's going to look a little bit different every time, but like you have to balance your checkbook. You have to, although I don't know how many people do that anymore now that we have everything kept up with digitally, right? But where we see this showing up in the reverse, in your hopes and fears, you're afraid that you won't be able to strike that balance. The Two of Coins also in this case, if you're dealing with a financial settlement of some kind, you could be afraid that you won't be dealt with fairly in that situation. now we can look at the midheaven. So this is going to be your goal or your destiny based on what we're seeing down here with this 10 of coins reversed. And we do have the King of Swords reversed. So the potential is here for a very fair settlement. The King of Swords can sometimes be read very much like the Justice card. It's showing up reversed, but it is in a future position. So again, like we see with the Queen of Coins, that the potential is there, but it's going to depend on current situations and how everything plays out, and you may have a part in that. Although I have to say, Taurus, I'm kind of getting a very like environmental vibe from your reading, such that some of these factors have kind of been, historically speaking, taken out of your hands, where we have like, the Eight of Swords and the Ten of Wands coming out in a reading that speaks to environmental factors that may or may not be beyond your control. You are manifesting your butt off right now. So I feel like you are, if you're putting in the effort, you're doing your part to make everything turn out the way you want. The final outcome card here is the Fool, and this card is showing up upright. So what we see with the Fool, he's very tied to his ideas of comfort, and we do have a lot of energy that is tying you to the second house, right? Remember, I mentioned that it was a very second house energy kind of a reading for you. And so part of this is this Fool he's got these scissors in his hand, and it would be so much easier for him to head out on this journey if he weren't trying to bring his comforts with him. And that might be something you need to address with yourself, Taurus. Because this card is a future position, but it is showing up in the upright. And is directly above where we have the Hierophant card. And a lot of these really kind of deep-rooted second house energies, those things can be burdens to you also. Remember how we started out the reading with the idea of binding, right? You can bind these things to you, which in fact the Fool has done. He's literally bound himself to this bed. But it is going to also complicate things. It's going to become a burden. So it's important for you to be able to kind of cut some of these connections and understand that what you need will open up to you if you're just able to let go of that need for comfort. Okay, so that concludes the Taurus reading for this week. And now we're going to be moving on to the sign of Virgo. So Virgo, if you would, just kind of relax. Take some nice deep breaths. Allow any issues that have been troubling you to float up to the forefront of your thoughts. Don't be overwhelmed by them. Don't fixate on them or worry too much about how you need to proceed to get rid of them. If you start feeling any tension, Virgo, just take some deep breaths. Inhale the divine white light of Source, and then just sigh out all that tension and stress. And I'll pull some cards for you. Oh, there's a few cups so far. This card, right? Okay. Let my computer hyperventilate for a minute. All right, so Virgo. This one's been another popular card this week. We have foxglove, poison. So, a few things about foxglove, and I might check the book just to make sure. But again, I've read this card a few times this week now, so I probably won't reference the book too much. This is about those toxic relationships that we have with people, where we allow people to poison our minds, poison our hearts, and influence us in ways that become toxic. So I think foxglove is good for bees. Let me just check. Yes. So bees love the foxglove blossoms. And you can plant this in your garden for protection. It's very good for protection. And it's good for keeping away people who like to gossip, who like to talk bad things about other people. Your word is your intention. And when you go around spreading sludge like that, I'm not saying you do this. I'm saying like people who do that. It's like trying to live any kind of a decent life in a sewer or at a water treatment plant. It might look very nice on the surface, but everybody can smell what's going on. But it can hurt to cut these people out of your life. It really can. Foxglove is also from whence we derive digitalis, which can be used as a heart medication. So it's one of those things where sometimes in small doses it can be therapeutic, but in much larger doses it can be deadly. Hi, countries of the world. Thank you for stopping by. I'm doing great. How about you? And Virgo, I'm just going to write down your timestamp very quickly. So let's look at the past. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that you're having a good day. In the past for you, Virgo, we have the Three of Cups. We can see these three people working together to pour this water kind of out of this fountain or this well that they are sitting in. It's kind of like a cistern or a well or something like that. So the Three of Cups is a card about socializing. It's a card about close-knit friendships. And this card is showing up upright in the past. So we can infer that there are some very good close-knit friendships that you formed in the past that you have maintained into the current situation, into your current time frame. Here in the current situation, we have the Empress card, the Great Creatrix. She is aligned with the planet of Venus. So could be Libra, could also be Taurus energy. The divine feminine, the mother. And you can see that she is creating here on this sewing machine, which is a traditionally feminine art form. Not, you don't have to be a woman to learn how to sew, but it is a traditionally feminine craft. And this is crossed by the Ace of Cups. So some of you might be becoming a mother, in which case you are going through this emotional renewal with the Ace of Cups here. Some of you could be bringing a long-term project into fruition, and there's an emotional renewal involved in that. And also keeping in mind, make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other's gold. And that you are perhaps seeking out new collaborators for creative projects as well. So there's an energy of renewal. There's also an energy of creation. And it's kind of a feminine-driven energy. But you don't have to be a woman to be aligned with the Empress card. It's the kind of creative process that requires long-term gestation. So now we're going to look down here in the Imam Silai, which is the cusp of the 3rd and 4th houses in the 12 houses. And this is all of the occurrences, vibrations, etc., of the current environment that are going to be leading to what we see in the midheaven with the goal or destiny. So down here we have the Ace of Swords. And this card is very much about taking action. Seize your destiny. That might be what you're doing right now. You might be making very vast changes. You might be cutting things out. Again, if we're looking at this card about foxglove and poison, you could very well be cutting a lot of people out of your life that have these toxic attitudes. Because we have the Ace of Swords. We also have this Ace of Cups as our crossing energy for the current situation. So definitely renewal going on for you at this time, Virgo. Down here in your perspective, we have the Four of Pentacles. And is this the Six of Pentacles? Even better. Four of Pentacles is about conservation, but the Six of Pentacles is about the flow of resources. So you can see that this figure is able to provide these figures with coins, with abundance, and still have plenty left over for themselves. And sometimes the tables are turned. Sometimes we are the ones receiving charity from others. But this card is coming out in the upright, which lets us know that you're in a pretty good place financially and you're able to share your good fortune with those around you. From an outsider's perspective, looking in on your situation, we have the Lover's card and it's showing up in the reverse. So people could be kind of jealous and toxic about your relationship if you're in a relationship. The Lovers can also be about a choice. People could be deciding not to date you right now, but that might be for the best. It could be that people see that you're making a lot of changes in your life and that it might not be a good time to get into a relationship with you because you are in a place of transition, which is not necessarily bad. It might be that somebody has their eye on you and is watching you from afar, thinking about asking you on a date. But the Lover's card, we also see that there is a ladder here. And I really love the way that this kind of plume of a cloud is framed in the back of the card. The ladders in this deck represent ascending to a higher plane. Some people might see that and be salty about it. They might not recognize that for what it is. Especially because with the Lover's card, we also have the implication of the partnership, that these two figures are going to be ascending to this higher place together. Or people could have an incorrect idea. So that's why we kind of read this position, right? Because sometimes people don't have a very accurate idea of what is going on with us at any given time. You know, and the truth of the matter is that you're making great changes in your life. And this card showing up upright shows that those changes are going to be for the best. The Lovers is also Gemini's card, so we're tying in duality and choices. And so other people might feel like they don't have a choice with you. That's also a possibility. Yeah, it's kind of a very interesting vibe that I'm getting from this card because most of the reading is really good, and then we have this Lover's card coming out in the reverse. Now, that could, as I mentioned, be the potential for somebody approaching you, and that's why it's reversed, but it's just a very interesting kind of a turn there. Here in the future, Virgo, we have the King of Coins. And the King of Coins is showing up reversed here because this is a potential energy for the future. The King of Coins represents financial stability. There is also a certain rigidity about his ideas regarding money. So King of Coins can be very aligned with Taurian energies, and where we are seeing then like these very fixed ideas about things. But as a mutable sign, you would be less likely to fall into those habits as long as you're aware of them. Here in your hopes and fears, we have the King of Wands, gift of the gab, king of the bedroom, right? So you want to be seen as a charismatic leader. King of Wands make great cult leaders. You want people to see you as very potent, very powerful, but see you that way because of your charm and your charisma. I don't think they don't see you that way, but they might see you more as the Empress, and this might be a more accurate reflection of your personality. This could also be somebody that you desire to date. So if this is a love reading for you, you may be attracted to this King of Wands person, but they might not feel the same about you. Just an FYI. But that's only going to be for some people. Again, this is a general reading. Here in the midheaven, so now we're looking at the result of this Ace of Swords down here in the Imam Sili. We have the Three of Wands. And the Three of Wands is about energies returning to you threefold from what you have put out into the world. So, because of some of this, because of this creative energy that you have been expending. And this card is showing up upright, so this is more than a potential. I like to say about my readings that nothing I say to you will supersede the importance of your own free will. But when the cards show up in the upright, that's more like a predestined type energy. So where we have the Three of Wands showing up upright, you will see a return on your projects, on the energies that you've put out. And it's important to note also that, these are both threes, and threes do represent the first completion. Three-legged stools do not wobble. So the final outcome for you, Virgo, today. Bringing it back again. The Seven of Wands. This figure has reached a vantage point, a point that these other figures down below desire to occupy. And thus they are coming for him, or them. Could be either gender or somewhere in between. That's another thing I really love about this deck is all of the figures are very free of gender construct for the most part. So, Seven of Wands. Whereas you might have cut out quite a few of these people from your life, there will always be more. And this certain historical period has not been very kind to some of us. And my love and hopes and dreams go out to all of you, of course. But some people really have not been handling it well. And so don't be alarmed or shocked if somebody that you know who used to be a very good friend or even just an acquaintance who was a lot of fun to be around. Don't be surprised if when you next meet up with them, they're acting very strangely. And I would say try to give them the benefit of the doubt, but also recognize that sometimes we no longer have functionality in each other's lives. And sometimes the compassionate thing to do is to allow people to move on, just as you have. So now we are going to do the Capricorn reading. So Capricorn, if you would just kind of relax, kind kind of allow any issues that you'd like closure on. Allow those things to float kind of to the forefront of your consciousness. Don't focus on them. Don't fixate on them. Just let them wait there patiently until they come out in the reading. And if you are feeling stressed out or tense, I invite you to take some deep healing breaths. Breathe in and imagine the divine white light of Source flooding into your body. Very gently, of course, not in a way that you find painful or stressful. Then, when you release your breath, just kind of sigh out all of the tension, any anxiety, any other things that you might have been holding on to, whether you realize it or not, that are causing you stress or lowering your vibration. Now I'm also going to pull for you one of these flower magic cards. This one? Okay. And I'm going to write down your timestamp. And those will be in the description box after the video's over. All right, Capricorn, so we've got another repeat here. Some of you might have other placements that are prominent in your chart. The card that I've pulled for you, Capricorn, is sorrow. So this flower is called Bleeding Heart, and it does look like a heart that is bleeding. And magically speaking, you can use it to soothe your aching spirit. You can also use it as kind of a love divination. You crush the blossom, and if the juice is red, then your love is true. But if the juice flows clear, then it's not love. So in order to banish sorrow, you can burn or bury the flowers. And sorrow is just one of those things that kind of diminishes and decreases over time. There will be times when the wound is still very fresh. There will be other times when you are able to go on. You might even be happy again. You never know. So Capricorn, we're getting to the root of the matter right away. The card that I have in my hand represents the past of this situation. And we have there the Three of Swords in the reverse. So this would represent whatever heartbreaking situation you've been through. This feasibly could represent the death of a loved one, but it would more probably represent the death of somebody that was a friend or a close acquaintance. But it, of course, does not mean that that's the only thing that it could be. This could be an argument. It could be a falling out. It could have been just a very tough situation between you and another person or a close-knit friend group that ended badly. But that card is in the reverse, and it is in the past. So whatever that situation is, it's been totaled out. But it's still affecting you, I'm sure. I'm very sorry for your loss, whatever it was. Here in the current situation, this was a jumper and it did come out reversed. We have the World card. Now, it looks like, so the World card is elemental Earth and is also associated with the planet of Saturn, which you, Capricorn, are also associated with. So the World card can be a bit of a Capricornian card. Down here at the bottom, this would be kind of the Imam Silai. Up here, the midheaven. Back here, the past. We already talked about that. And here, the future. Now, this card also carries a lot of fixed energies. So typically on this card, we will see the 4 fixed signs represented in the corners of the card. We don't see that here, but we know that it exists. We know that this figure is striving for comfort. She's got this bed behind her. And of course, the soiled hem of her dress representing that connection to grounding to the earth. And all the worldly knowledge possibly contained in the book she's holding. We have the 5 of coins. This is a feeling of being left out in the cold. Sleeping in a barrel. But not in a fun way like Diogenes. In a way where, like, you really wish you were sleeping somewhere else. So the 5 of coins here, definitely about the state of mind, because, of course, our disappointment is largely of our own choosing, but only because we're not robots. So there really is a lot coming out for you early on in this reading, Capricorn, about a lot of pain. So maybe this will resonate with you, maybe it won't. This might be a very specific reading. Here, in your perspective, we do see that you're involved with group projects, and they're going well. The card is upright, and that you have a fairly good professional reputation. So it's not all bad. The outsider's perspective on this situation, we have the Knight of Cups in the upright. Now, a lot of times Capricorn is not known for their emotional states, not known for being in their feelings. So people now, Capricorn, might actually be enjoying catching a glimpse of your humanity and feeling the possibility to connect with you in a way that they haven't before. This card is showing up in the upright. It can also mean that people outside of you see you as being able to trust your heart and trust your gut at this time, and that you might be following your intuition more. So I did kind of skip over the MMCLI, and I did that because it is the 9 of Swords, and that can be about anxiety and grief and things like that. But we had already talked about that quite a bit, so I kind of wanted to like sandwich it in with some more positive affirmations. So the 9 of Swords, it is upright. It's about stress, it's about turmoil, it's about anxiety, and it really does go along with, you're feeling this way because this happened and it got multiplied, But here in the future, so this is going to lead you actually to what ends up coming in the midheaven. And I do have to tell you already that it's a pretty good card and that it is in the upright. So I consider the cards that show up upright to be much more like predestined energies, whereas in the reverse, it's much more a potential energy that will require everything to kind of line up properly to take place. Here in the future, we have the High Priestess card. And the High Priestess is full of secrets. She stands between the two pillars. The middle pillar of moderation. So these would be mercy and severity. And then embodying the energy of the middle pillar. And this is lunar energy. So if you have Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio in your chart, very also aligned with water, it is Cancer's ruling heavenly body. So could be aligned with Cancer. The moon card in the deck is also aligned with Pisces. And you might also look at where your moon sign is, because that might be specifically more relevant to you. Why am I prattling on and on about the moon energies? Well, because that's part of what the High Priestess card is really about. It's about all this hidden esoteric knowledge, seeing the connections between things. She's holding this pomegranate in her hand. So there's this idea of, in Kabbalistic study, the garden of pomegranates, and all the little seeds and what they represent, and being encompassed within this skin. So this card is showing up for you in the future. This High Priestess could represent a person that you come into contact with. The High Priestess is a very solitary energy. So that might even be your energy, Capricorn, moving forward for a time. That you're keeping your secrets. You're staying solitary. You might even be taking part in oracular practice or other kinds of magic. High priestesses were often known for their skills of divination and thus holding on to all those secrets and hidden knowledge. Up here in your hopes and fears, we have the Judgment card, and it's showing up reversed. Now remember in this deck that the ladders represent transition between the two planes, between the current plane and a higher plane, kind of like traveling between the eons. And this figure is going to deem some of these figures worthy to climb that ladder. And you might be afraid at this time, Capricorn, that the bouncer won't let you into the club. So we'll see. What more do we have to know about that? Well, we do have the midheaven position here. So this is going to be a result of this stress and anxiety. However you respond to this might lead to this situation. Although, as I mentioned before, these upright cards that appear in the future are much more like predestined things. So we do have the Two of Cups here. That is going to be a close and intimate connection with another person, whether that represents a new relationship. It could be a new friendship, especially if you have other things occurring in that friendship, like if you decide to go into business together, or if you have a musical project or something else like that that you're doing together. That this Two of Cups would represent that kind of energy as well. And then finally for you, Capricorn, we're going to have a period of rest. This person sleeping kind of out on the beach, not in a bed. And over here we have this very strangely shaped it's a large piece of debris. It's difficult to tell if it's a rock, if it's a tree trunk. It, because of the proportional size, it looks like it could almost be a coffin. The Four of Swords is about rest, and it's about rejuvenation. So this person being pinned down by these swords, they're just going to kind of sit there with that for a while and allow themselves to heal. They're not impaled by the swords. They do have this thing nearby that could possibly be used for shelter if they wanted. But the overarching energy of the Four of Swords is rest, rejuvenation, and healing. So, as far as the future, we've got probably first we're going to be seeing this time with the High Priestess, and that might actually kind of overlap with this rest and rejuvenation energy, right? And that's going to open up for you the potential for this love situation to come in. Whether this is the Two of Cups could also be patching things up with another person. That's another thing that I'm getting right now, that this could be a love relationship, but it could also be if you have had a falling out with somebody. We don't have Six of Cups anywhere here in the reading, so it wouldn't necessarily be like distant past situations, but this could be a situation where you patch up a friendship with somebody or heal a relationship. So that is going to be the Capricorn reading for today. That concludes all of the Earth sign readings for this week. Thank you so much for joining me today. Your presence is always greatly appreciated. And I look forward to seeing you again very